Hello, welcome to Bill and Bear, Cryptocurrency Analysis News and Education. My name is James Gore. This video is for the 26th of July 2018. Market update, technical analysis on the big three and coins that are worth watching, then news and back to comments from the last video. So first things first, total market cap is actually over the $300 billion mark. Great stuff. We've actually managed to maintain this level despite seeing a tiny bit of a pullback in some of the coins. 24-hour volume is relatively decent as well at 15 billion USD, with Bitcoin's dominance relatively holding strong. Most of the coins are seeing some upside these past 24 hours, nothing like we've seen in the market previously, but they're mainly maintaining valuation. Biggest gain in the top 100 is Stratus, 14% gain, followed by Stellar, 9.5% gain, with the biggest loss coming from GX Chain, 12.59%, followed respectively by Kin, 7.08. And just quickly checking in on market volume and trading volume, as per suggested in the last video, I'm going to take a quick look at the 24-hour volume for these top 100 coins just to see which coins have the most action. So it's obviously Bitcoin with $5 billion worth of trading volume, followed by Tether, which makes complete sense because it's used as a hedge. But then we have Ethereum and EOS and Bitcoin Cash respectively, trading from 1.6 billion to the $600 million mark. Okay, so quickly checking on BTC on Coinbase. So probably the most significant sign and indicator which I mentioned in yesterday's video, in the last video rather, was maintaining a trading level above this upper resistance line, because we've been rejected from this resistance level, this upper trend line right here for quite some time. And what I'll do is I'm going to clear the chart completely of all drawing tools just so you can see a clutter-free chart. And then all I'm going to do is get a ray on the chart so I can demonstrate where we've been rejected from multiple times. So we'll just do a very simple one. It's from this top to this top right here. Okay, and we're zooming back in, and what we're taking a look at is this level we smashed through and we bounced off yesterday. This, if you remember guys, was the first thing I was saying I really need to see happening in the market with at least Bitcoin to see whether or not we're going to move into a bull market. Okay, and this seems like, at least in a very temporary time, in the short term, that this is playing out as we would hope, as I've been kind of waiting for since December. So this is really good news. However, obviously, it's only been one daily candle where we've bounced off this resistance level that we've been rejected from multiple times. It's now come into play as support, at least in the short term. So now there's a few things that need to happen to kind of move forward to see if we're in the bull market. Now, I did make a video on this recently. I suggest you go watch it on the channel because I talk about other things and factors you should really look at to really tell if we're in the bull market. But just purely looking at the charts from a technical standpoint, there's a few more things. First thing is constantly testing this level. If we do continue to consolidate in downtrend, which is absolutely fine, we do need some consolidation, then the key thing to see is whether or not we're going to sideways trade and flatten out and slowly downtrend using this previous level of resistance as future support, as current support as well. That's what we need. The next thing is looking at the weekly close on BTC versus Coinbase. If you remember, we were talking about how looking at the weekly charts, or possibly the weekly chart, how we have been rejected from some very specific levels and bouncing from these key levels. Now, the biggest thing on the weekly chart I'm looking for now is trading and closing above the 50-week moving average. Okay, this green line right here, it is the 50 moving average, the 50 moving average on this current time frame weekly. All we need to do now is break above and start trading above that, because that's a more longer term time frame, at least on the weekly chart. It gives us an indication of where things are going, and this would basically demonstrate that we're going to start at least seeing a more optimistic and upside in the market. Okay, that'd be absolutely fantastic. And that's it. Very straightforward, very simple, nothing too crazy. We are currently overbought right now in the daily time frame on BTC, and I would expect some sideways trading, some flat action, not too volatile, and a period of consolidation before we actually have another breakout. Now, the final thing which I'd be looking for is breaking above the 200-day moving average. Now, it doesn't really matter how long it takes to do these things, okay, guys, because again, we're purely talking from a technical standpoint. If we're trading above this resistance level for quite some time, we can still be in a downtrend, technically speaking, and we could actually go, to levels below, the absolute low of where have we been, like 5,600, 5,700, which was a low of absolute low of this year, and that's fine. But that'd be way off into the future. That would be, we're looking at, November of this year, okay. But November, October this year, and just seeing a downtrend, some ups and downs, but we'd still be trading above this trend line. That's still a possibility, but would still be in a much more healthier space. The key thing is trading above the 200-day moving average. And the reason being is we can find that as support would be essentially be free roaming. We'd have all the moving averages trading below us, running below us. We'd purely be able to base the current price action and where the future basically trading investing decisions on previous price history. And that's generally speaking what you have in a bull market. In a bull market, you can't really use moving averages too much rather than levels of potential support, other than the 12 and 26 moving average, because they do exponentials, just because they do catch up. Because ultimately you're in such either blue sky breakout, new price territory, or just constantly driving the price up. But the moving averages, the longer term at least, we've got the 50, the 100 and 200 day on the charts, they just simply can't keep up. So these are the things to be looking for. And the 200 day could continue to trend down. It's likely to be resistance moving forward, but that's absolutely fine. Those are the key things I'd be watching. Okay, so things are looking very good. Moving on to Ethereum USD on the charts, we can see we're finding resistance at the 50-day moving average, but it looks like we've broken above and closed below. So what's happening with Ethereum right now is it looks like we have the RSIs trending upwards. We have the histograms just moving from trading flat to upwards. It looks like it's going to break out and find the first resistance level, major resistance level, to be at $515 US. Okay, so if we were to purely make an entry based on where the price is to where it could potentially go, the first hurdle, that'd be about 7% gain. That's a quite optimistic move for Ethereum. It's already up 2.24% today. That'd be in total around almost a 10% move. But that's actually quite possible, provided we have a push in volume. Right now, I'm recording this 9:15 UTC time, relatively early compared to East Coast and American markets and Asian markets, which could continue to drive the majority of the price action upwards. So it's looking pretty decent for Ethereum. However, just with regards to support, if that doesn't happen, that's absolutely fine. 12 and 26 moving average is likely to be the level we'll be watching. So moving on to Litecoin, LTC USD. So LTC USD, very similar story. In fact, it's almost the same chart, except the $94 range, 95 USD range, is the first level of resistance I'll be watching to see it testing. And right now, if you want to look at some patterns, we have two flags. We have a flag on Litecoin, we have a flag on Ethereum, basically formed very similar. We have a pole right here, this green candle, and then we have the upper level of resistance, the lower level of support. It could also be considered a pennant, really, just because it's more of an angle, like a triangular shape, but it's looking pretty decent. Potential upside is on the way. Next up, Bitcoin Cash, BCH. Let's take a look at the chart. So very similar story to Ethereum and Litecoin. However, it's already broken above the 50-day moving average. It has a pennant formed as well, flagpole, and again, very similar chart to the last two coins, guys. Looks like the first kind of level that would be resistance as well would be the 888 USD mark. We've spoken about this and why. It's previously a level being rejected from, and also just looking at the recent highs of these coins at 875, that is where I kind of expect, based on previous price history, where the recent resistance has pinned. So the first one would be 888, and then after that it's a bit more free roam to the 100-day moving average, which would see a potential upside of about almost 20%. I doubt we'd see that in a day or two. It's likely to consolidate first, but definitely possible, provided we do see a continual push in the market. So that's it from the major coins. We're going to move on to the news section right now, and starting off with some great news from Stellar. So Stellar is now the 6th largest cryptocurrency by market cap. I talked about this in a previous video, but it's also made a massive deal with Transfer2. So just very quickly smashing through this article. Stellar is calling the shots in the crypto market after signaling a new deal with Transfer2 to enhance the cross-border payments, transfer, and settlements across 70 countries. Stellar is getting all the attention from the global crypto community and businesses as the Stellar Lumens tokens, XLM, makes its way to become the 6th largest cryptocurrency by market cap. In its latest price surge, Stellar has put behind formidable competitors like Litecoin, IOTA, and others. On July 25th, cryptocurrency posted tremendous gains of more than 20% and is currently seen trading at 33 cents, with its market cap crossing over 6.3 billion, according to the data on CoinMarketCap. Now, guys, the one thing I'd like to say about Stellar is there are a few things in its favor, and this is yet another partnership. That is fantastic. And if you aren't aware what Transfer2 is, it's a mobile cross-border payments networking connecting international financial institutions and other digital financial services. This sounds like something a Ripple could have done, and Ripple and Stellar technology is very similar and has very similar origins, but they're targeting slightly different markets, slightly different approach with things. Open blockchain versus private closed blockchain. But the interesting things to watch for Stellar: one, potential Coinbase listing. They've announced that they're interested in this cryptocurrency. Two, its first fiat pairing on a major exchange. That's a big deal. Three, partnership with IBM. Four, it's moved up CoinMarketCap. And five, partnerships, just still developing continuous partnerships. For example, we're seeing here with Transfer2. Obviously, this is not investment advice, but I do think it's worth researching this project. I've done a review on this channel regarding Stellar. I don't think it's the best cryptocurrency to invest in from an investment standpoint, to be completely honest with you, but obviously doesn't mean you can't make money from it. I just think there are some other cryptocurrencies that should have your focus. But just quickly taking a look at Stellar, it's doing exceptionally well. Currently $6.2 billion market cap, still trading at 33 cents. Some really fantastic things are obviously on the horizon for Stellar, which we'll get to a bit later when we're going to talk about a cryptocurrency ETF, including the top cryptocurrencies, not just a Bitcoin one. This is a new proposed ETF. This will be the last news piece, so stay tuned. Moving on to the next piece of news, Altcoins roundup. BitGo adds Zcash, Warex supports Ripple, and PwC is to audit Tezos. Okay, so there's a lot of various small pieces of news for a few cryptocurrencies that I think are very much worth paying attention to. So Zcash is another cryptocurrency that's looking to be listed, or could be potentially listed on Coinbase. They mentioned this was another one. BitGo, a company providing institutional grade cryptocurrency scrutiny services, has announced that it has enabled support for Zcash. The announcement follows the addition of 57 ERC tokens last week. BitGo's chief technology officer, Ben Chan, stated, as one of the world's most valuable and technologically demanding digital currency, Zcash is an important new asset for our institutional investors. Bear in mind, guys, Zcash is a privacy coin. I'm sure you guys are well aware of this. If you've been with the channel since December, January, I mentioned my 2018 predictions. You can rewatch this video. I'm probably going to make another video regarding that, how accurate they were at the end of this year. But I was mentioning that privacy coins are going to have strong relevancy, and this was kind of counter and against what most people were saying about privacy coins at the time. But with increased regulatory scrutiny, privacy coins are actually going to have more relevance in the future, just because it's natural human behavior. As you know, the vice-like grip and control, measures of control surrounds the crypto space. People are always going to find ways to do things they need to do, and Zcash is quite a nice privacy coin in the fact that it's not as anti-regulatory and I say not anti-establishment, but anti-establishment as Monero could potentially be. So it's definitely worth paying attention to, guys. So I think it's really big news for Zcash. Next up, Warex is enabling support for XRP for crypto debit cards. So Warex is a provider of cryptocurrency wallets linked to Visa debit cards. There's quite a few out there. It's quite a decent platform if you are aware of it. It's actually just recently launched support for Ripple, so now people can actually get Ripple XRP token through the Warex app and pay with their crypto Visa debit cards, which is actually really cool. And lastly, PwC Switzerland is going to audit Tezos' finances and operations. So PricewaterhouseCoopers, which I really hate their name because a single word, Switzerland will audit the finances and operations of the Tezos Foundation. I don't think I've actually released this video on the channel yet. It's been up on Patreon for a while, but it's I've spoken about Tezos, I've spoken about the controversy behind the project, and whether or not it's worth investing in, and my personal opinions, if it's all hype. There's a massive amount of controversy behind this project at the moment, and the people that were involved in its operations. So this is actually quite a good thing for the Tezos project to be basically have an audit from a really well-respected organization outside the crypto space, and that do works in finance. It does mean that moving forward, provided this audit and everything that goes to plan, positive news comes from this audit, then the Tezos price is likely to bounce, and not bounce, but see a nice rally, because there has been a bit of price suppression regarding all the controversy, and it does mean that it's been a bit volatile, but it's worth paying attention to this cryptocurrency off the back of this news, because it could positively influence the price. Next up, Uber-backed cryptocurrency exchange set to offer commission-free trading. So this is actually a pretty big deal. So it's not necessarily backed by Uber, it's backed by the people that have basically are behind Uber. So very quickly, a brand new licensed cryptocurrency exchange by the name of Voyager is set to go live at the end of 2018 with a brand new concept that will offer traders access to commission-free trading of 15 cryptocurrencies. Guys, if you haven't realized, there's a new trend with these cryptocurrency exchanges essentially to gain market share and to be as competitive as possible by providing zero-fee trading. So if these exchanges are in a place that are available to you and you can actually use them, I do recommend considering having at least opening accounts on these exchanges, just because it can mean that you have access to zero-fee trading if you ever do need it, or you can get access potentially to cryptocurrencies on these exchanges that might not necessarily be listed on some major exchanges like Coinbase or Kraken if you're used to using those exchanges. I do think it's worth paying attention to, and what's likely to happen with these new wave of centralized cryptocurrency exchanges is, one, for the average person looking to get into the cryptocurrency space, it's a good thing because they have a lot of opportunity, a lot of choice. Choice is a good thing. Keeps the market as competitive as possible. I'm sure there's going to be some dodgy dealings when it comes to exchanges, crushing their competition, as with any kind of industry, and the little up and comers. I say that, but these cryptocurrency exchanges do have millions of dollars behind them. But just compared to the major players in the space, like the Coinbases, the Binances, these billion-dollar businesses, it does mean that that it's better for the end consumer ultimately. So do kind of pay attention to this, and it obviously does mean that new people are looking to get into cryptocurrency will have a lot of choice. And zero-fee trading is very tasty, especially when the average person that uses Coinbase has to pay quite significant fees, when if they could just use the exact same login details, log into Coinbase Pro, and just go through a few more steps, could essentially have zero-fee trading as well, or close to zero as they possibly could. So this exchange is backed by Uber, not Uber, but the people behind Uber. And just very quickly, a quote from Finance Magnates: Voyager is headed by Stephen I can't say that name, Ehrlich, the former CEO and founder of retail brokerage Lightspeed Financial, who also previously ran the professional trading arm of the online stockbroker E-Trade. The startup's other co-founders include Philip Eaton, an early Uber investor, and Oscar Salazar, the former chief technology officer of the ride-hailing company. Moreover, Stephen Ehrlich, the CEO of Voyager, has commented, stating, "Our multi-exchange platform will help aggregate and unify a largely fragmented ecosystem, offering retail investors fast execution and better pricing. Additionally, we have developed and adopted best-in-class security practices in line with banking, brokerage, and healthcare standards, offering investors a safe and secure environment to invest in this new asset class." Interesting to include healthcare in there, but again, competition is good for this space. So we're going to head over to the next story. Okay, so Google has temporarily removed MetaMask from the Chrome extension store. If you have MetaMask installed on Google Chrome, you can still use it, but there's actually no clear indication as to why they decided to do this for a period of 5 hours. So just very quickly overview of what MetaMask is. It's like a cryptocurrency ERC20 token wallet storage device and way to interact with the Ethereum blockchain. MetaMask itself is a popular interface extension that connects many web browsers to networks such as Ethereum, enjoys a presence on not only Google Chrome but further other popular web browsers such as Firefox and Opera. It enjoys the pride of place, the fact that the extension enables users to access decentralized networks and other decentralized applications from the comfort of the most conventional web browsers. In a public service announcement, MetaMask clarified that it had not been provided with any reasons why the service had been delisted and was seeking clarity from Google. The extension was spontaneously listed again after some 5 hours later, though word from Google has been forthcoming as to why the change took place. During the interleading hours, while MetaMask was unavailable, several fraudulent copies of the software debuted in its place on the Chrome extension store, with Ethereum users warning that the malicious copies were merely phishing services. So guys, always be careful with any crypto-related software you install onto your computer, and any software whatsoever. I'm personally not the biggest fan of MetaMask just because I don't like having my crypto interacting with the blockchain or having access via a web browser. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't really know how well Google Chrome insulates Chrome extensions from one another and just the data it stores on that. And I do feel there is some kind of potential and risk for attacks on either by phishing through a Chrome extension or just any kind of potential attack on your crypto holdings if it's interacting with the blockchain via a Chrome extension. I much prefer my Ether wallet, where you have to provide a JSON file, your Treasure or Ledger Nano wallet directly connected to your laptop to have access to your crypto, plus a password and very other ways of interacting with Ledger and my Ether wallet, or just storing your crypto offline in a physical hardware wallet as well. I'd much prefer that. That's actually my preference of choice, or having a physical device separate, not connected to the internet, that stores your crypto. If you have to store it in a software wallet. So just be very careful when, firstly upgrading software. Make sure you are always upgrading software directly from the source. Make sure you even automatic updates. I turn them off for all devices, including my phone, because very much potential for phishing attacks. Even Google two-factor authentication. Be careful with installing specific apps on your phone, just in case. Just because it's on the App Store, iPhone or Android, doesn't mean it's technically doesn't mean it's free of any malicious type of code. There is always potential, and yes, these apps do go under scrutiny from these app stores, but still just be careful, because something could go up for a couple of hours and you could be at risk and vulnerable. So last story before we go into news, the biggest piece of news today. So Bitwise proposes a new ETF for the top 10 cryptocurrencies by market cap. So the important takeaway from this story, just before I go into it, is not that this is happening now, not that it's happening anytime soon. It's the fact that this is going to happen someday. Okay, and you need to pay attention to this, because this is exactly why you need to weight your portfolio in large cap coins if you want some serious gains. And I've said this for a while, especially with a Bitcoin ETF on the way. I said, your portfolio should be mostly Bitcoin. If you really do like altcoins, I'd say, you can trade them, but make sure small cap coins, you understand that they're high risk, high reward. Mid and large caps should really be where the majority of your focus should be on, at least at the current time. So in a separate video, I'm going to be talking about ETFs, 100% for sure. I'm going to round things up because there's so much misinformation from various news sources, and the only people and various ETFs at the moment, there's so many proposals that some are being delayed, some are not being delayed, some are getting more scrutiny, some are getting more attention than not. But this one, it's not getting that much attention because it's too ahead of the game. Okay, so we'll very quickly talk about this. So Bitwise, maybe more recognizable for its Hold 10 cryptocurrency index fund, but the startup has now confirmed that it's seeking regulatory permission to launch an exchange-traded fund catering the top 10 cryptocurrencies by market cap. The company has proposed that its ETF offering would track the returns based on its Hold 10 index, which captures approximately 80% of the total market capitalization by the cryptocurrency market cap. As such, the aptly named Bitwise 10 cryptocurrency index fund ETF would use a 5-year diluted market cap and other eligibility criteria meant to address challenges of the crypto space, such as continuously changing supply, liquidity, trade volume, concentration, and custody limitations. So these are some serious issues that are hurdles for any kind of ETF or any individual cryptocurrency, let alone a broad 10. The key thing here is a 5-year diluted market cap. Okay, and what that really means is the cryptocurrencies that just randomly pop up in the top 10 for a year, which happens quite frequently, they're not really going to, unless they're able to hold their market cap, they're not going to be included in this ETF. And I think that's actually a really good thing, because technically speaking, I mentioned this in a previous video about how CoinMarketCap's rankings are kind of becoming more and more redundant, just because any old cryptocurrency, depending on how they, obviously not any old cryptocurrency, but any cryptocurrency, depending on how many tokens they have, and how inflation works in their project, can just massively surge up the ranks. And we saw Tezos, where's Tezos now? It's ranked number 17th, which is pretty decent. But when Tron launched, when Verge launched, Tron has crept up the market cap, but is, it's one of these cryptocurrencies that have a massive amount of tokens, ridiculous amount, and one of the reasons why the market cap is the size it is, yes, price versus tokens, circulating supply versus current price, but tokens are a massive factor to kind of pay attention to as well, and it's some of the reason why some of these cryptocurrencies are able to, really climb up the ranks. When technically speaking, are they really worth what they're worth? Are these cryptocurrencies market caps, 2.5 billion? Is Tron really worth 2.5 billion? I'm not saying it's not, but it's just something to kind of pay attention to. So this is a big deal. This is going to happen at some point. So a good way to kind of prep for this, and this is far off into the future because we just need a single ETF to drop, and then this will open the floodgates. But remember, just kind of think about how long it took from futures to drop, which was, last year, end of last year, and then measure that to then when the ETF drops, whenever that is, and then think about, we have one ETF, and then we're going to have, other ETFs. Probably the Ethereum ETF will be next after Ethereum futures, which will probably eliminate all the long positions, but it'll tank the price of Ethereum. But just keep that in mind, and then look at the cryptocurrencies that have been around the longest. And then what you can also do is go to tools and look at historical snapshots, and you can look at the cryptocurrencies that have been around for a couple of years in the top 100, in the top 10. If we just go to January 1st of 2017, we can take a quick look. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin, Monero, Ethereum Classic, Dash, Made Safe, Augur, Steam. So that kind of gives you an indication of how much things can change. But the ones that stay are the constants in the top 10: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple. It doesn't hurt to hold these cryptocurrencies, and of course, depending on when this ETF drops, you can pay attention to this. Okay, so moving on to the comments from the last video. Thank you so much for watching the last video and thumbsing up. Mork says, just a tip: shorter vids, 50 minutes. My channel will moon. What I'm going to try and do, guys, is make these videos much shorter. I'm just trying to think about how to do it. I'm really focusing on YouTube aspect of the channel at the moment, so I'm learning. I'm doing a YouTube course, and then that will help with the channel growth, etc., etc. More great info, and with fingers crossed, we might get back in black, as I have been on the wrong side of profit. Cheers. Hopefully that happens for you, my good man. Brad Blackman, ever consistent, smiley face. Thank you, Brad. I hope you're having a good day. Napkin Man number 7 says, James, why I love your channel, and you understand we can still be in a bear market and have bullish scenario playing out. Keep up the good work and keep up the good work. And don't let lack of subscribers keep you down. It's sort of like trading against the trend as far as YouTube goes. Yeah, I'm not really fussed about subscribers or anything or views at the moment, other than just to make sure that I'm providing you with good content. I do think that my content can improve, but I've also realized, like, my tagging and ranking stuff on this course, I just do not do any of the things I should have done to really make this channel grow. So I've been very lucky. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate that, guys. Thanks for the great video as always, man. Always, George. Joe Brennan says, there's so many Bitcoin ETFs filed. Did the Vanek and blockchain platform SolidX ETF decision also get put on hold until September? Not yet. There's no information regarding that being put on hold. That's the one that's being taken the most seriously, however, at the moment, and that's essentially the CBOE or CME ETF, and obviously it's coming from a more respected institution outside of the cryptocurrency space, and just going through the proposal, which I mentioned, I think I mentioned it on the live stream. It's actually probably the most, just compared to the other ETFs I've read so far, it's probably the most reasonable, I'd say. That makes the most sense. So there's no information on that one being put on hold. I did read today that I think this all the other ETFs so far have been kind of put on hold until September, which is actually good. It gives us time for the market to kind of respond and calm down a bit. I know it's been doing really well, but we don't want mania from within the space to be driving the price. We want solid fundamentals and solid news, and we want an ETF done well, and that would be fantastic because it just means it's better for the cryptocurrency space as a whole long term. Mark Carter says, thanks again, James. Thumbs up and heart to you, good sir. So thank you so much for watching the channel, guys. Really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. There should be something popping up on the screen right now, blocking my face, asking you to subscribe. Really do appreciate it. And if you have any suggestions for content, it's all about content. Do leave a comment in the box below. And of course, if you want me to do technical analysis on any cryptocurrencies, do leave a comment in the box below. And just to finish off with, Of course, if you want to support the channel, the best way to do so is via Patreon. I do post exclusive content on Patreon, some things early, some things like coins which are breaking out. Also, if you have any questions or anything, you can reach me via Telegram on Patreon. I think it's $5 for $5 for a cup of coffee, essentially a month, to reach me on Telegram for the rest of your life. And it's like WhatsApping me any questions you have regarding markets or technical analysis or anything. So thank you so much. Hope you have an amazing day. I shall see you very soon in the next video. Wish you guys all the very best.